Hello again, everybody. This is James Bartley, and you're watching and listening to the Cosmic Switchboard Show. Today, our very special guest is Jeanice Barcelo. Jeanice Barcelo returns to talk about her new book, among other things. Her new book is The Dark Side of Prenatal Ultrasound and the Dangers of Non-Ionizing Radiation. Her website is birthofannewearth.com, and Jeanice is a dear friend of ours here at Cosmic Switchboard, and she's done fantastic work. I'm so excited and so pleased to have her on the show again to talk about this important new book. So without any further ado, Jeanice, welcome back to the Cosmic Switchboard Show.
Thank you, James. Thank you very much for having me back and allowing the people who listen to get this information, because it's very, very important for the survival of our bloodlines that people understand the depth of the radiation exposure we're now getting hit with. And ultrasound is a part of that. Most people don't know that ultrasound actually is non-ionizing radiation, because we're told that it's just sound waves. But we have been lied to in a very big way. And we've also been told that non-ionizing radiation is safe. And I can say my research is indicating that there's tens of thousands of studies that already show non-ionizing radiation to be a serious health threat. So ultrasound being one of the many devices that they're using that emit non-ionizing radiation. Other devices include our cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, cordless phones, have very, very high levels of radiation, smart TVs. Many people are driving around in vehicles that are highly irradiated with microwave radiation, non-ionizing microwave radiation. Baby monitors. Baby monitors are off the charts in terms of how much radiation is coming off of these devices. And I don't know if I could share my screen, but if that is something I could do.
Yeah, you can. There's a screen save facet.
First of all, let me get to the part in the presentation. I want you to take a look at the cars. So I'll go ahead and share and then hit this and see if can your viewers?
Yeah, I can see that.
You can see that. Okay. So that's just to give you a sense of what's going on in the cars today. Okay. It's all of these things are emitting radio frequency and microwave frequency radiation, and I'll explain that in a second, what that is. And of course, our babies, our children are surrounded by many, many devices, everything that we're using, and now many people are also surrounded by cell towers, making the situation much worse. So I just wanted to show you this briefly to show you on the screen. There's radio frequencies, and this is where ultrasound usually operates. Okay, and then there's microwaves, which is where our cell phones, cell towers, baby monitors, cordless phones, all of that stuff operates in the microwave range. So it's considerably more intense. As you can see down here, ultrasound, this graph indicates that ultrasound is between, 0 and 2.4 gigahertz. Going back a screen, a megahertz is 1,000,000 hertz, and a gigahertz is 1,000,000,000 hertz, okay? So this is jackhammering our nervous system at the rate of millions or billions of times per second. That's what these numbers actually mean. And ultrasound falls in here. So 2.4 billion times per second getting hit with these very intense jamming frequencies. That's a lot. That's a lot for anybody to deal with, much less a developing infant. Okay, so I'm not going to show you the whole PowerPoint. I just wanted to show you the baby monitor levels. Let me go ahead and get to that screen. Okay. Can you see this?
Yes.
So baby monitor radiation levels are over here on the right. And then we have cell phones, microwave ovens, smart meters, cell phone base stations. I can assure you that your Wi-Fi router and cordless phone are emitting huge amounts of microwave radiation. And I can, demonstrate that for people, although I don't have any of those devices left in my house because I have a meter that tells me what's going on in my environment. And when you put this meter next to a cordless base phone, the base station of the cordless phone, this meter's in the red. And when you put it next to a cell phone, you'll see that the levels peak into the red every 30 or 40 seconds. People are getting jackhammered with pulses of very, very dangerous levels of microwave radiation when they carry a cell phone. Baby monitors are, of course, in the red as well. And our babies are being exposed to that whenever they're next to the baby monitor. And this is radiation that is brain damaging, okay, that will cause leakage of the blood-brain barrier and puncture holes in the blood-brain barrier. It causes problems with fertility. They're using the 2.4 gigahertz frequency, 2.4 billion hertz per second in these devices. And that particular frequency is known to cause sterility within 2 to 3 generations of chronic exposure. So if mom and dad have been chronically exposed, their baby is the second generation. If mom and dad are chronically exposed to cell phones, Wi-Fi routers, this kind of thing, cordless phones, their sperm and egg are irradiated. And their children will be the product of irradiated sperm and egg, which means that their children are going to have some genetic destruction from the get-go, and the potential for infertility. And of course, when these children, who are the product of irradiated sperm and egg, attempt to reproduce themselves, we're going to see one of two things. We're going to see either sterility or the ability to reproduce children who are carrying genetic damage, genetic problems. And then by the third round, any child that is born will be sterile. This is what we're finding in the animal studies that they're doing with this particular frequency. So we have brain damage, fertility issues, severe cardiac problems. In fact, two 10-year-old children in a Canadian school that had just installed a Wi-Fi system that could accommodate 300 computers in a school with 7 computers. Two 10-year-old children died in that school from cardiac arrest, and 2 more collapsed with cardiac arrest and were revived. So the cardiac issues are quite severe. I experience them myself. Whenever I am near any of these devices, my heart starts to beat irregularly, to skip beats, to start beating out of control. That's one of the many symptoms that I've developed because I've become extremely sensitive to these devices, which is why I now know so much. I had to really understand what was happening to me in order to get myself to a place of recovery. Or I came very close to death last February. And that was in part because of the placement of a smart meter on this house, which is also sending microwave pulses like a cell phone every couple of seconds. Boom, boom, boom. People are getting hit, So people are developing dementia very early, chronic skin rashes, severe heart problems, unable to, a lack of balance, muscle cramps, respiratory problems, because these frequencies attack the oxygen molecules in our body. So it's sometimes very hard to get a breath because your cells are not able to receive oxygen because of what we're being exposed to. So it's very serious. It's very, very, very serious. And most people are not aware. We're being told that all of these devices are perfectly safe. So this is not true.
Yes, a friend of mine, just to interject real quick, Janice, a friend of mine had problems when he bought his new Toyota Prius. It was emitting so many frequencies that he got sick. Everyone who rode in his car became sick. And this same person, like yourself, he nearly died after a smart meter was installed at his house. He has to now pay a monthly ransom. There's another line item on his monthly invoice from the power company to keep that smart meter from coming back.
Yes. Normally they charge you for a fee to send a meter reader out if you have a regular analog meter. And for people that don't know the difference and want to check, let me go back, because it's very helpful to have people understand. They might charge you a fee to remove the smart meter. Some companies will remove it right away without any fee. It depends on your company. Shoot. Okay, so for people who want to understand whether they have an analog meter or a smart meter, on the left is a typical analog meter. It has what looks like a CD inside of it that spins slowly round and round, and all of these little clock-like devices. That's generally a safe meter, generally, because now they're creating Trojan horse analog meters too. They're getting very tricky. And this is a smart meter. This is a digital screen. These devices transmit huge amounts of microwave radiation into your home. They're generally not grounded, so the microwave radiation is backing up through all of the electrical wiring of the house and jackhammering people all day. People are dying as a result of these devices. And it's not just the smart meters. The smart meters definitely are throwing a lot of people over the edge, and these microwave vehicles, especially the Prius, because the Prius also has a tremendous amount of dirty electricity. This stuff is going to cause health problems. There's no question. You may believe at this time that you're not affected, but I can assure you that you are being affected, and that it's only a matter of time before your body exhibits symptoms that you may or may not recognize as being connected to radiation exposure. But you will develop symptoms. Sometimes they will look like the flu, because the flu and microwave illness actually share many of the same symptoms. And I recently found out that the flu never existed before the invention of man-made electricity. So Arthur Furstenberg has made a very strong, well-documented argument in his book, The Invisible Rainbow, that the flu is an electrically created disease. So if you're having repeated bouts with the flu and you've never really been the type of person to get sick or get the flu, you should know that you are now showing signs of microwave illness. And this is particularly concerning if the flu is extreme. Okay, as it was with me, the amount of pressure and mucus in my head, this was the second time I got the flu. I was in so much pain, and I was sick, I mean, so sick. And then 2 or 3 months later, so sick again that I couldn't get out of bed, even to go to the bathroom. My body was just so weak, collapsing to the floor. I was losing my hearing, my eyesight was going, my sense of taste and smell disappeared temporarily, running a fever, and then running a chronic low-grade temperature, because my body had given up and could not fight anymore, because I was surrounded by radiation emitting devices. And the body will try to heal itself. But if you are not getting yourself out of it in order to repair, your body will give up trying to repair. And you'll run a chronic low-grade temperature. Let me stress that we repair during sleep. So if you are surrounded by your cell phone, baby monitors, you have a smart meter on the house, your Wi-Fi router is going 24/7, your cordless phone base is going 24/7, your body will not repair. It cannot repair because you're in a chronic field of radiation. There is no opportunity for the body to repair, and especially to repair the genetic damage, the damage that is occurring to your DNA. Both your nuclear DNA and your mitochondrial DNA are being hit very, very, very hard by this radiation. And if we don't have a chance to repair, we're going to get sick, and it's very likely to develop cancer. You know, within 5, 10, 15 years of exposure. And this is what we're seeing right now in the young adults who've been chronically exposed. Let's say they got their first cell phone at age 5, and by the age of 20, 15 or 20, they're developing a brain tumor because they're cooking their brain. Keep in mind, the 2.4 gigahertz frequency that's used in these cell phones is the same frequency used in microwave ovens to cook food. And they use that particular frequency in microwave ovens because it maximizes the absorption of microwave radiation in the mammalian body. Now, I just want that to sink in. This is one of the most destructive frequencies that they could have chosen. And they know it. They've known since at least the early 1980s that this particular frequency causes brain damage, heart problems, fertility issues, multiple different types of tumors, and cancer. They've known this. So at least in the US, instead of the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission, instead of them putting out a warning, everybody should avoid this frequency. And by the way, they don't use this frequency in Russia. They don't use this frequency in China. They don't use this frequency in Iran. They use this frequency basically in countries that are controlled by a force that wants to destroy Western civilization. So what the FCC did, instead of warning people and prohibiting this frequency, is they opened up that part of the spectrum for use to anybody with no licensing, no fees. And so everybody's all, you know, ensuring basically that our society would be saturated with this particular frequency and ensuring serious damage that will occur over a number of years. And of course, it's going to get more intense with 5G. These frequencies are very, very, very high frequencies that will attack all living beings are negatively affected by these. These are man-made frequencies. There's nothing natural about any of this. This is all completely alien to our planet. I do believe these are alien technologies that have been designed to destroy us and to enslave us. And they've come a very long way in terms of getting us to participate in our own extermination and pay them for it. We're paying for our cell phones. we're paying for our cordless phone service, you know, if we get it through a cable company or whoever. If you get it through a cable company, you don't need to use cordless phones. You can just get corded telephones, you know, for like 20 to 40 bucks. Go back to corded telephones. If you're getting your internet through a cable company, you don't need Wi-Fi. Right now, you know, what they're doing is if you have a cable company, they'll give you a cable box, a cable modem, and they'll give you a Wi-Fi router. And most people are plugging that Wi-Fi router into the cable modem, right? And then sending the internet through the house with the Wi-Fi router. But if you unplug that from the cable modem and simply plug in an Ethernet cable and run it into your computer or your phone or whatever, you won't need to be on Wi-Fi. You can turn the Wi-Fi off. This is what I have done. I wish I had an extra set of devices here so I could show you what I've done, but I can show you on here. Okay, these are the Ethernet cables that you can buy. I suggest getting shielded Ethernet cables. Am I still sharing my screen with you?
Yeah, yes.
All right. You want to get shielded cables in case you've become sensitive to the electricity. That's a whole nother issue, what's going on with electricity. And these are what's called power line adapters. You can get these on Amazon. And what these do is you plug them into the wall. Okay, you see here on the right. You plug it right into a 3-prong outlet. And there's an Ethernet port here. So you put the Ethernet cable in there, and the other side goes into your cable modem, okay? This comes with a matching device. There's 2 of these. You take the other device. Once you plug this into the wall and into your cable modem, this runs your internet connection through all the electrical wiring of the house. So you can take the matching device and plug it in any room of the house, put the Ethernet cord in there, and run the other side of the Ethernet cord into your computer or whatever device you'd like to use, and you have a strong grounded Ethernet connection, much more fast and secure than any Wi-Fi connection will ever be. And you can turn your Wi-Fi off. This is very important that you turn your Wi-Fi off on your computer and your Bluetooth. And then you can be on your computer without exposing yourself to radiation. There's many things like this that I can teach people that I've learned over the last year in order to make the appropriate, take the appropriate action in my home so that I'm not going to be sick. You know, on a regular basis. So these are things that I can teach people. If they're interested, they can contact me through my website at birthofanewearth.com. I also have another website at Radiation Dangers with an S, dangerswithanas.com. And you can contact me through that website as well. And I can teach people if they're interested. Again, I recommend getting very simple corded telephones throughout your house. Get rid of all the cordless phones in order to protect yourself and your family. This is just a device. If you have more than, let's say you have several computers that you want to hook up that are now using Wi-Fi, you're going to need what's called an Ethernet splitter. You know, and basically you plug an Ethernet thing into one of these ports and the other end goes into your cable modem. And then you have all these other ports available to plug in Ethernet cables for whatever you want to use them for. Am I making this clear? Are you following this?
Yeah, absolutely. Those are all very practical, easy to follow instructions.
And very, not very expensive.
Yeah.
These devices that come in a pair, as you can see, are $60.
Yeah, and
That's not very much.
that's not much. You can't put a price tag on health. And too often people take the path of least resistance, whatever is convenient, whatever is fast, the quickest hookup, so to speak. And the people that are emitting all these radiation emissions, they know this. They take advantage of this need on the part of so many people for convenience and for speed.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, this is actually quite convenient. When I'm right now talking to you through an Ethernet connected laptop. You know, I use these devices. I have one of these plugged into my Mac. Of course, my Mac doesn't have an Ethernet port, and your iPhone won't either because they want you on Wi-Fi. But what I've done is I've got an adapter for my Mac, and one end of the adapter. Let me see if I have that in this. I may not have put this. No, I didn't put it in here. One end of the adapter basically is a USB port and the other end is an Ethernet. So you put the Ethernet in there and then you plug the USB into the computer. And you can get these for your cell phones as well, so that when you're at home, you turn the Wi-Fi off in your cell phone, turn the Bluetooth off, turn your data off, you know, and get yourself a wired connection for your phone if you're addicted to your phone. Personally, I got rid of it. I never did ever use my cell phone to get on the internet, ever. I never ever put my cell phone to my head. I was not that stupid because I knew years ago, many years ago, that people were getting brain tumors. So, however, I still got sick. I have microwave illness. Okay, I am very sensitive and I get sick if I go near anybody with a cell phone. I can't go to many public places at this time and spend more than 20 minutes before I become incredibly nauseous, weak, headache, heart going out of control. And you don't want to get to this point. You know, this is why I'm encouraging people, don't end up like me. Do it now before you reach this point of saturation. Because once you reach it, your whole life is going to change. Your whole life is going to change. When I tell you that I drive around, okay, with radiation shielding on my head, because where I live, Long Island, New York, is saturated. Wherever I go outside of my house, this meter is in the orange and in some cases in the red. That's because there's so many towers. There's so many transmitters. There's so many microwave boosters and antennas sitting atop buildings, schools, firehouses, police stations, hospitals, everywhere, at least every half a mile, but it's actually much more saturated than that. And we're participating in this with our Wi-Fi devices. So this is a question of people, number one, understanding, getting some honest information about these technologies, okay? And number two, having a willingness to make the transition. It may take you a couple of weeks or even a couple of months to figure things out, or you can call somebody like me and have a consultation and we can get it done much quicker. But make the changes as quickly and as best as you can. At the very least, turn everything off at night. Everything. If you have a baby monitor in your baby's room, unplug that thing and put your baby with you and stop this. You know, your baby belongs with you. Not sleeping with the baby monitor. Babies belong with their parents. So put your baby with you, turn your cell phones off, unplug your cordless phones, unplug anything that has got the word smart attached to it, and let yourself at least sleep in a clean environment. Really, you know, honestly, the first thing people should get is a meter that measures, that's going to measure the radiation levels in your house. And where is it safe? You know, where is it safe to sleep? Where is it safe to put my head? You may be in a situation where you're in an apartment building and you're going to require maximum shielding in your apartment in order to deal with that, because you've got people all around you with their devices. So it's important to get one of these. I recommend this because it's really so easy to use. You basically push a button and you turn it on, okay? And you push it again and you can hear it. Can you hear that?
Yes.
It's very low here in the house, in this part of the house. That's why I sit in this part of the house and I sleep in this part of the house, right here, okay, where it's very low. That sound is actually the sound of it's the signature of a cell tower. It sounds like a really high-pitched sound. If it's a Wi-Fi router, it will go click, 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 click. Like each of these devices have a signature that after you play with this for a while, you'll get accustomed to what's causing the radiation levels to escalate, you know. So I do recommend these devices strongly for people. You can get this at Amazon, and several other places sell this particular device. This one I tell people about because it also measures, in addition to measuring EMFs being electromagnetic fields that are man-made, that are emitting radiation. Radiation travels on these waves. Okay, so there's EMFs, there's dirty electricity, and there's magnetic fields. And this particular meter measures all three. And then there's this meter. This is a brand new meter that's just coming out to measure the 5G frequencies. The earlier meter that I showed you only goes up to 8 gigahertz. But 5G is going to operate. So if you get this next to a 5G transmitter, it will be in the red, okay? But 5G is 28 gigahertz to 100 gigahertz. So if we want to get more specific readings about how much we're dealing with 5G, this meter will be a better bet. And the meter is important. Let me also show you this. They make these shielding canopies that you could put around your bed. Let's say you're in an environment where you're in an apartment building, okay, and you can't get away from it, no matter what you do. No matter how much you make changes in your own apartment, you can't get away from everybody else's stuff. You can get shielding for your bed. This is called a bed canopy. I actually got this one because I just felt like I wanted more room around my bed. So I got one of these, and I got an all-natural, non-toxic fabric that it's made out of. It's a $1,500 item. I had to get it for the floor because I have somebody underneath me. I'm at the point right now where I don't even sleep in my room anymore, even with the canopy, because with the damn cell phone pulsing, okay, even though when I get in my canopy, it pulses green, it's still pulsing, you see? And my body's like, no, I cannot be around this pulsing. My heart goes crazy. My body will not tolerate any of the pulses at all anymore. So that's why I'm in this part of the house where it's a steady green. There's not pulsing happening here, right? So these are the things that we need to become aware of. I also, I'm constantly wearing radiation shielding. I have a shirt that's made out of silver, half silver and half beechwood. I always have something around my head when I leave my house, some form of radiation shielding to protect my brain, because I can feel it in my head. My head starts to really hurt. And I never had headaches my whole life. I never had a problem with headaches. But now my brain has reached the point where there's been enough damage to the blood-brain barrier that I have chronic headaches when I'm exposed to this stuff. And we didn't really talk about ultrasound much, but I want people to understand that ultrasound is fundamentally part of this radiation grid. Ultrasound is a technology that we can go back to some of the slides on ultrasound. Let me see if there's a quicker way. Yeah, let me show you this, for example. This is research done in the 1980s. And on the left-hand side, we have normal cells. And on the right-hand side, these are cells after a single exposure to ultrasound. Obviously, you can see that they're deformed. They're not growing properly anymore. It's a tangled mass that can become tumorous after one single exposure. Now, keep in mind, this technology is insidious because that beam can pass through the skin without creating any damage on the skin. The damage is inside. These frequencies cook us from the inside out, just like what's going on in a microwave oven. They are cooking our children, our developing children. On the left-hand side is a normal cell in motion. This is what they look like when they're in motion. And this is what happened after a single exposure to ultrasound. This is in my book, by the way, The Dark Side of Prenatal Ultrasound and the Dangers of Non-Ionizing Radiation. If you want to understand really what's happening, please get this book. You can find it on my website at birthofanewearth.com. Let me go, I'll go back to ultrasound in 1 second. I just want to show you this, okay? 24 hours of cell phone use equals 1,600 x-rays. That's 1 day with your cell phone. It's the same damage as 1,600 x-rays. So how do we know that? Because there's research been done. This is a DNA molecule that was exposed to 1,600 x-rays. You see how it's got this comet tail of micronuclei? Well, it's the same thing after 24 hours of exposure to a cell phone. That's how much DNA damage is occurring.
That's shocking.
It is shocking. It is shocking. We're putting these weapons of mass destruction in the hands of children. What's wrong with this picture is that this mother is irradiating her baby in multiple different ways, unbeknownst to her.
I've seen pregnant women with laptops typing away.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, hopefully people will begin to understand the severity of what we're doing and the need to change gears very quickly. I just want to go through some of this so you understand I'm not making this up, okay? Ultrasound damage was similar to X-ray damage. When the results were extrapolated, it was an equivalent risk of 250 chest X-rays. The damage was permanent, heritable through cell division, and conceivably can affect many generations to come. So let me go back and explain that, and this is Coco. Coco's never had any ultrasound. So she's pretty much cellularly intact. With a developing baby in the first trimester, cell division is occurring very rapidly. That's, fetal development is based on cell division. If this baby is hit with ultrasound or some other form of radiation during the first 12 weeks, there's likely to be some cellular and DNA damage. I'm sorry, I can't turn that phone off.
Oh, that's quite all right.
When the cells and their DNA are damaged, and we're in a height of cell division, this damaged cellular DNA is going to replicate. And this is what causes cancer down the road. These cells with their damaged DNA that cannot correct the damage can become cancerous later on, can turn into tumors. So that's why I'm saying it's very insidious with ultrasound, because the damage may not show up for 10, 15, 20 years in the kids. So very few people are going to make the connection with radiation exposure in utero to what's happening to these young children, to these young people who are, by the way, becoming infertile in very large numbers. Ultrasound causes infertility. Did you know that? Did you know that they're using ultrasound to stop sperm production?
That wouldn't surprise me. And also how some parents, expectant parents, want to know the sex of their babies, so they fine-tune the ultrasound to look at the genitalia of the developing fetus, which is insane.
Yeah, because every time you point that transducer at the baby's genitals, I mean, you're pretty much ensuring problems with fertility. Of course, the radiation is causing miscarriage. Research shows that populations exposed to ultrasound have a quadrupled perinatal death rate. A large randomized controlled trial, right? 9,000 women in a group. Half of them scanned at 16 to 20 weeks and the others were not. There were 20 miscarriages in the screened group and none in the controls. I mean, James, I have 1,200 plus citations in part one of my book, which I've released as a PDF. Okay, so the first 250 pages of the book contains 1,200 citations. So this evidence that I'm sharing with you today is extremely well documented, well backed up by multiple studies. I'm just giving you very brief examples. Obstetricians in Michigan studied 57 women, and the idiots, right, decide, okay, we're going to expose half the women to ultrasound every week. The rest of them had pelvic exams. Preterm labor in the ultrasound group was more than twice that of the control group. For ultrasound contraception, a man or his doctor applies 15 minutes of those painless ultrasound waves to the testes using equipment that's already common in physical therapists' offices. In animals and also in humans, this results in about 6 months It halts sperm production for a minimum of 6 months. And it can cause permanent sterilization. And let me stress that the quality of the sperm are also, any sperm that are generated after exposure to radiation are in question. The health of those sperm, the genetic integrity of those sperm.
Even the motility of the sperm, there's a window of time it has to get to the ovum in order to create conception. So if it can't swim fast enough, it's not going to get there.
That's right. That's right.
Well, we've reached the end of a thought-provoking and at times shocking first half. And, I'm really at a loss for words, but I'm an intelligence gatherer. So this is information that we need, folks, because this is already out there and they're really shooting for all the marbles now. This is a fight for the survival of the human race. Thank you for sharing this, Jeanice. Could you give us your 2 websites again, Jeanice, and the title of your new book?
Okay, Birth of a New Earth is my first website. RadiationDangers.com. They're both .com. That's my other website for people to go to learn about the radiation issue. And my book is The Dark Side of Prenatal Ultrasound and the Dangers of Non-Ionizing Radiation. So please check out my websites and check out the book. I'd really like this book to reach people far and wide because the information is so important. And I'm looking for a publisher. So if you know of somebody that might be interested to publish this material. I could self-publish it, but they've been censoring me. Mm-hmm. We'll talk about that later. Yeah.
Okay, we've reached the end of the first segment of the Cosmic Switchboard Show with our guest, Jeanice Barcelo. This is James Bartley. If you like what we do, if you believe in what we do, please go to thecosmicswitchboard.com, sign up and become a member, and we'll see you at the top of the next segment.